This is take 3 of this recording. The objective of this recording is going to be my catch-on disclaimer. So before I start this series of recordings, I want to do this one second. I already have the first one about the importance of recording, but this is going to be my catch-on disclaimer. So let me first start off by giving out my credentials or lack thereof, and my understanding and liability. So I'm not a doctor. I'm not an engineer. I don't have a degree in economics or in politics. My background is I grew up, was raised in a very strongly conservative Christian religion. It was a Jehovah's Witness. And for 30 years, about 30 years of my life, I guess you don't really count the baby ones because you're not really making any conscious decisions, but I sure as heck had plenty of conscious decisions in my teens and 20s. So during that time, that's where I grew up. So that's where I'll draw on my morality, spirituality, and religion. And for the last about 15 years, I've been doing IT support for a couple different nonprofit organizations, a school and one that I'm in right now. So I'm kind of like the jack of all trades for oddball stuff for technology, videos, computer repairs, websites, just anything that has to do with technology. It falls under my umbrella of responsibilities in a lot of the jobs that I've done. But I've had some college, but only like a certificate or a technical certificate from a tech school. So that disclaimer is that I know ahead of time that any of the opinions that I make from an academic level and from a liable level, I'm not any of these things that I have, any kind of opinion that I have going forward. I just got through laying out my entire life as far as my, on paper, what my credentials are. However, much like a football fan that is absolutely obsessed with football, and they're like knee deep or neck deep in numbers and stuff like that, even if you don't see them hosting an episode of ESPN, and even if their opinion is off of a particular, player or team, to a certain degree, you have to give them some kind of credit because obviously the person's obsessed with it. I mean, they're just going to be better at it for some, as opposed to some casual fan. And the subject matters that I want to try to cover over will be like in the realms of philosophy, religion, technology, physics, science, and these things, despite me not having a degree in them or working in them, I'm obsessed with them as much of any hardcore fan is of, let's say, a team. So I try to make, even in personal conversations, oftentimes the second that I start going into the realm of opinion, I make a disclaimer before saying it. I say, look, this is what I know, or this is the extent of the knowledge, and here I am now going to go into a thing that I have no basis on. And I personally feel that the people respect my opinion more often because of how often and consistent I make that disclaimer, because most of the time it's either I'm commenting on something that I am familiar with because I'm well read on that particular subject, or I'll say I don't have an opinion because I don't know. I that's outside of my area, and I don't even have an opinion on those things, because oftentimes if outside of my area, I don't care. So no, I don't care or have an opinion if it's not within these subject matters that are within my interests. But this interest goes beyond, I think, as a passing interest, as much as my passing interest of, like, let's say, football season, that I obsessed about. I think probably one of the signs of my obsession was when Google was having that AlphaGo tournament with I think his name is Su Young, the the Go champion of the world. They were playing those videos live, but in Korea, and the time zone meant that I had to be awake like at 2 or 3 in the morning to be able to watch it live. And they have commentators for Go, which is interesting. And I didn't really know the rules of Go. I've always admired it for the historic relevance and stuff like that, but I had to study up on it. I did I don't know how many hours of tutorials on how to play the game, just so that way I can fully appreciate what I felt was a historic landmark in AI. And I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. It was like my own kind of like secret indulgence. So then when I have opinions on things like AI, I know that I don't have the degrees, but I am very much obsessed with the technology, that I follow it like some people follow the lives of celebrities. And so there's my disclaimer that I don't have anything official. The only thing that I can have to my credit is that I will always try to make sure. In real life, I make that disclaimer. In this series of recordings, I don't want to have to keep saying that every time I make a recording. I don't want to have to keep making a disclaimer every single time before I start. This is it. This is my disclaimer. It's the second recording in the series. So if any time in the future someone says, well, you don't have the credentials, or, well, you've never worked in this, I know that. Yes. And in real life, whenever I'm talking to people, I always say those disclaimers before I give my opinion on something that I know that I'm not well read on. Otherwise, I cite sources. But in this series, I don't want to keep doing that over and over and over and over. So that's the objective of this recording. And another objective I have of this one is to explain the layout of how I plan on doing these recordings in the future. This Spreaker account gives me 15 minutes before I have to pay to get it unlocked, and I most likely will have it unlocked because it only has 5 hours, and I feel fairly confident that I'll exceed that pretty quickly. But I like the idea of having a 15-minute timeline, because I tend to ramble, and I need to be concise, so that way it'll be easier to mine the data, and also easier to tag, and for me to isolate trains of thought. Certain things I suppose might potentially take more than 15 minutes to explain or to write down. But I like and I'm not sure if Einstein had said this, but if you can't explain something simple enough, then you probably don't understand it well enough yourself. And I really like that idea of even this recording. This is the third time I've made this recording, but I like refining ideas before I have it out there, if possible, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist in that sense, and also I want to have good quality ideas. I'll have my non-uploaded recordings somewhere for me to be able to mine for that too. But for these that I want to have out there, I want to make sure that the ideas are concise and to the point and on the record, because a lot of these things I will reference in the future, especially on anything that I feel is like a common argument or a common position on one way or the other, for me to get it all down, each one, and that way in the future I could just go ahead and reference a link. So that's the layout. I'll have themes. I'll try to. I'm going to start coining terms. I'll start having themes on particular these recordings. So each one will be 15 minutes long. The purpose of this one is a disclaimer and a general outline of what I plan on doing and saying. So I'll go ahead and stop it here then.